So we had a slamming door. We used these valves in the door closer, the swing and the latch, to slow it down, but now it doesn't want to seem to latch. And the next recommendation I saw in the comments was to tighten this nut to add spring power to the door closer to help it close. While that is an option, I'd like to look at the opening as a whole before adding power to see if there's something else that I can address. First thing we're going to do is check for hinge bind, and the easiest way to do that is to remove this nut, which I've pre-loosened. Screw, bolt, and we're going to unhook the arm. And I'm just going to hang it right there for the moment so it's out of my way. So now the door closer isn't doing anything to the opening, but it still wants to be open just by pushing against it. So what you're going to do is look for either the door contacting the frame, or you're going to watch for a knuckle bind, and when you see the knuckle move, you know that that hinge has an issue. This one is not moving. We'll take a look at this one. We'll see it's not really moving, maybe a little. And then we look at this one and you see all this movement in the knuckle. It's actually pulling the frame off the jam with it. So this hinge has been worked on with a tool, and now it has been tacoed. So it is creating our issue. While they may have improved the gap, there's now a considerable bind in this hinge, and so I would replace this hinge. Since we determined this hinge has been tacoed, I'm going to go ahead and replace it. So we'll go ahead and stick a little wedgie under here. Pop this off. And we're using a number 3 Phillips for this. A number 3. If you don't know what a P3 is, maybe you do, but the screwdriver world, got a number 2, a number 1, number 0, a 000, and a number 3. They make a number 4 even. Alright, so we're going to see this hinge. You can see it's tacoed. This is a new-ish hinge. You see how the pads close? That's how it's supposed to look. These pads need to be living with each other. This, you could just fill this with meat and have a snack if you were so inclined. But we'll go ahead and just pop this replacement on here. When you have these non-handed doors, which you should never use if possible, they are not as friendly to work on. But we're gonna go ahead, get this fixed up here, pop this in here, get behind there. Key. I'm gonna pick this up, just like that. Number 3. If you don't have a number 3, don't do this. Now we're gonna crack this, get my little guy here in the right spot. If you leave this hanging out, it's gonna rub against here and create hinge bind. So you have to make this be in a happy spot. Okay, we've removed the taco. Let's see how it acts. Yeah, here we go. Oh, it's like in there now, not even trying to fight you. Got a tiny bit still got a tiny bit. So let's see, is it trying to be open still? Yeah, it sure is. It's not leaning on the stop. So let's see what we got down here. Oh look, now the door is rubbing the frame. Now that's where our bind is coming from. You can see where it's touching there. So there still is a little bit of hinge bind in there, but we're going to fix that right up. So what we're going to do now is, what's your closure arm? going to add a shim behind this knuckle. So the door will move in the direction that we would like to see. So we're going to take one of these, we're going to put it right here under this side. Now if we put it on this side, it's going to move the knuckle this way, which is going to move the door this direction in space-time. If we put it here, like so, it will actually move the knuckle back, because once this gets cinched down, it's going to tip back, and this is going to move back and actually make this issue worse in this case. So we would want to put them on this side. And you do not want to put them here and then just pivot your hinge onto it on one side or the other, because all you'll do is you'll end up just buckling the hinge pad itself over the top of it, and it won't actually, it's not doing what you want. This is the way. Put that on there. And then we're going to pinch this shim in there on the opposite side. So now it can't go anywhere. And you can see it in there, but I'm just going to send my screws right through it because it's just magnetic stock. It's no worry. Don't forget we're doing this with a number 3. Okay. Now we're going to watch our arm. I'm going to close this now. It's just barely. It's as good as it's going to get. You can see it's much more free in there. And now it's not touching over here, and we've got a little bit of reveal. And we've basically eliminated the hinge bind. Now we can go ahead and hook up our closer arm. And we haven't adjusted this at all since the initial twist down. So now we can watch this operate. And just like that, it closes like it was made for it. And if we want to tune it in from there, we can.